So the fun part about my job is I get to reverse engineer some things every now and then. This is one of those cases, and piece of software. No software does what you want. They are all bears, nightmares to work with. But if you enjoy your work, then hey, it's great. And this is one of those. I did a 3D scan, and the reason I did that is because when I made the original part, I made it to the model, the original model. Sometimes after these models are made, there are modifications made to them. And in this particular case, it was because the material thickness changed. And so this material on one side doesn't have as much material. So I scanned the old part, which is what you're seeing. And from that scanner software, I saved several different file formats. In this case, when I saved it out as an IGES, I got this. It's a point file. This is great for CMM guys who want to do some point work, collecting points. Gives us a lot of data here. But I don't want to work with an IGES file at the moment, so we're going to close without saving. The next model I got is this mesh, the STL. Good old STL format. If I wanted to 3D print, this is all I need. I'd 3D print that glob all day long. I've got the STL. And I'm going to show how to reverse and do some reversing stuff using an STL, this STL, later, but that's not what I want to work with. This is a step file I saved out after creating a surface from my scanner software. A lot of faces, a lot of data here to work with, but a little bit more manageable for what we want to do with PathWorkbench. It's not the particular file I want to work with. I want to work with my original model. Notice these nice clean surfaces. I don't like this in here personally, but I didn't generate this original model, so it's not me. I don't recommend trying to do anything in FreeCAD that you didn't create in FreeCAD. But you still can work with other stuff, and so you got these nice faces, lots of them. We'll go to a top-down view. I want to do some paths on here. I want to cut this thing out, and I know that it is a certain size block that I squared. So I want to create a sketch real quick. No, actually I don't. I want to create some edges. Start working with this. So we'll go into the PartWorkbench. We'll go to Part, ShapeBuilder. Now, what I like about this tool is I can create just wires from the edges I want. Nothing more, nothing less. I just want some wires, some simple wires. So hit Control, select this wire, and this wire, and I'm just going to create this shape, and it's made up of these two wires. This other side, it's not as fun to create the wires, but we'll do it anyways. Click all these spots, and what you'll find sometimes when clicking on these and working with these wires, it doesn't do exactly what you want, and you'll find you have to go in and make modifications to it, create sketches from it, edit those sketches, create more wire shapes that are wires from that. It can be a tedious task, especially when you do something like that. Somehow I clicked where I didn't want to, and took away all my selections. After doing this for a while, selecting geometries, or in some software packages this would be a tool chain, a chain. I know we have problems here when working with this model, or it might even be here. I don't remember. And I want this radius on the end. Great. Create. Now I don't want to look at this big model anymore. Yeah, I do. I lied. No, I don't. I don't want to look at that. I just want to look at these wires I created. I'm going to look at top view. Sweet. I want to know approximately my material that I've already squared down, what size it should be. So I'm going to create a sketch of just a little rectangle. Create a new sketch. Yep. Come over here. I want to snap it. You know, I don't trust this. I want to say 0, 0 on all of those. I will come in here. 0, 0. I don't want that to change. I know. I'm going to leave a little extra here because we're going to just skim down that edge. It's not going to actually cut anything because I've squared up the block. This is a pretty straight edge. And that's 96. I know that. And there's ways to find out the sizes and where these dimensions take themselves out to. Just find the vertex and you're good to go there. 96. Ooh. Want 96. Good enough for my house. I don't even need to constrain that. I can though if I wanted, but no need. It's just a reference for me. So I've got this block and I want to cut this radius, but I want to cut this too. And we're saying I'll use a 1/2" tool to go across there and go to a certain depth. I think I can do that in about 2 toolpaths. Let's see. Let's create another sketch real quick just to see our tool size. Right about there. And a 1/2" tool and metric is 12 point or 635. And say another one here. Ooh. No. I think we can do this in 3 toolpaths. From the looks of it. I'll delete that sketch. I don't need it. I'm going to create 3 toolpaths out of this wire that we created. First wire I don't need. And the reason I'm going to be using scripts in here, I'll show you how to create toolpaths from other ways, and I'll show you why I don't do it, but at the moment. But so I have this wire. Now I could offset this wire if I wanted. There's ways to go about that. I can create it into a sketch. I can turn it into all kinds of other things with these great tools we have. But I'm going to go into the PathWorkbench. I really like this tool, FeatureArea. So we're going to create a FeatureArea. There's our line. It's inside the FeatureArea. It's what it created a FeatureArea of. But now we can offset this FeatureArea. And say I want to offset it 0.25 because that's the half the diameter of our tool. I want to do 3 passes. Step over amount 0.2. Let's go 125. Sweet. Oh no, let's go a little bigger than that. Let's go 1.187. Yeah. Center of our tool is right here. It's going to go right through here. Cutting on this line basically will be the edge of that tool. Then our tool will come in again, basically the edge of this line, because that's the center of our tool. Tool come through here for our very last pass, cutting on this edge, which is, look at our feature area. This is our so center tool path here, center of our tool here, center of our tool here. We don't want to take as many passes. We don't have to. We can change that up, make it 2 passes if you want. Bigger tool diameter. But this feature area is really cool because what we can do with it. I want to create a sketch with it. I'll go into draft, come over here, create a sketch. Now I've got a sketch of this thing I called a feature area earlier, and the reason I did that is so I could edit it and get rid of some things. So I'll delete that feature area. I still have my original wire, our original tool path. This is the edge of where I want my tool to cut. Now we got this sketch, and I'm going to go ahead and edit it. And since I've got this box, and if I take this main wire so I can see where it's at the sketch, I can now come in and say, okay, here's my tool path. Well, I don't need this, so I hit Control. I don't need that. I don't need that. I don't need that. I can delete that. I can delete all this stuff. And this is a tedious process. But you have more control this way. You can control your tool paths. You can control what does what, when it does it, how it does it. And it works. Every time. Because sometimes machines don't do exactly what you want them to do with their generic profiles, their generic pockets. I know on one particular software, it took me a while to figure out that I had to change the type of line I was using for an open pocket. Now I know that my tool will not cut any material here or here. It's not going to cut any material here or here. You see the edge of my stock here. So my tool is going to be coming out. There's the center of my tool. It's right there. It's going to come out. This is basically like a lead in, lead out, lead in, lead out. I'm going to leave those like that. If I want to make extensions, because again, this is the center of my tool right here. It's going to be coming down on this. If I wanted to, I could extend this out. I'm not going to right now. Now you see, from that feature area, we have this sketch. And I can do a toolpath from this now. I could easily go up into the path workbench. Go into path from shape, and it just created a toolpath for me. Comes over here first, comes down. Oh no, where does it go to first? It goes here first, comes here. Oh, what in the world's going on? Oh sweet, we got something funky going on there. I'd have to look at the G code to see if that's what it was doing, but as you can see, the path tool does create U paths. I don't believe, nope, can't use inspect G code. We'll go ahead and create a job real quick. I want to create it using the sketch that we created for our stock. Whatever. Fine. All that's fine. Now I should be able to inspect that G-code. Yep. Inspect the G-code. What? There we go. Inspect the G-code. Oh. This is why I don't normally, because I just inspected this G-code. I'll go ahead and change that. Change this just to show. Click OK. Go back here, inspect G-code. See, it didn't let me edit it. I don't know why. That's why I don't create toolpaths this way with the supplemental from shape. I don't like creating toolpaths that way. Let's do the same toolpath, sketch 1, sketch 001, with the wire to path macro that I showed in my other video on feature areas and reversing. So here it says I need to change it to my specific name of whatever it is. In this case, it's, get my cursor out of the way, sketch 001. I hit play, and this will, ooh, I need to change this too. I always forget this. My vertex. I don't forget this. I forget to tell you guys to do it. So we'll go over here. In this sketch, I want to go that way, over, that way, over, that way. So I want to start here. So I want to use vertex 25 of sketch 1. And again, down in your lower left-hand corner, down here, it says where I was just at. Luckily it froze for me. I got lucky there. A lot of times it'll move around. But when I go to these different points, it gives me the sketch and the vertex. I explained that in my other videos. But I want vertex 24. And I really like this way to create a toolpath because it's intuitive and it seems to create it the way I want it. Hit play. Down here's my toolpath. So it comes over here. As you can see, the arrow indicates which way it's going. Over to this point. Up to this point. Over. Back here. Back this way, and then it does my skim pass. Now I could have done each one of these toolpaths separate. Perfectly fine. I could have had 4 different toolpaths in here. Because of that feature area, I could have created wires using the PartWorkbench. Going to Part, ShapeBuilder, selecting wires from edges, and then just selecting the wires I wanted. Oh crap, I need to get that stuff out of my, I could have selected these wires and created the wire. I could create 4 separate wires and I had 4 separate toolpaths. But the reason I do generate using my macro is because now that I've got a job, I can right click over here when I'm in the PathWorkbench. I got to be in the PathWorkbench to do this. I can inspect my G code, take this out, take this first line out, click OK. If I right click and edit it again, it did edit that stuff. Great. Now, I don't like to go through and edit all these Z0 moves and these K0 moves. That is why I use the macro G-code to file. And it's a real simple macro. And in this case it's called my path. I've already got it called my path. Hit play. it created a file out here, and I can go into the folder that I saved it in, which is in my case right there, and I can edit this really fast, really easy with my text editor, and it just makes faster work. I want to do a find and replace. In this case, I want to replace Z. Yep, it already knows. Then I'll change this to a K, just like I did in my other video. It needs to be capital. It's rid of all my K's. I just got my moves that I really need. Then I can save it. Then when I run this other macro that I like to use, it takes that G code that I just edited and can create a toolpath with it. In this case, I don't need to, because if you look here, it's already edited. I do want to add, no, it's not. And the reason it's not is because I did not change this. I changed the file that, and that's why I use, again, that's why I was getting into that train of thought there. I used the G code to path. And this same G code here to path, you can use this to test, say, G code, you don't know what it does. You just have a bunch of CNC code and you want to see what it does. You can run it this way and it will create a toolpath, and you'll be able to say, oh, I know exactly what that's doing. I want to select all this. Control A. Come in here. Paste it. No. That was weird. Let's go here and edit this. Right click. Select all, right click, copy, come back over here, right click, paste, and I want to add a chunk of G code, G0, Z, space, Z, 6.35. Click play, and it will create another toolpath over here. So yeah, you can test and see what other G code does and looks like just by using this macro. As you can see, it created another toolpath. This one a little diff, yet the same. We're going to go ahead and delete our original one. Now I want to make this step down. And that's what I use my step down program for. And in this case, I want to step down MYPATH001 dot path, and I need to find these values here. And the way I'm going to find those is by editing that G code. And it's my first value here. So I'll copy that. Paste it here. Same thing here. And I'll play that. And this will create a whole brand new toolpath. I don't know how deep you guys want to go there, but that's what that number's for. Notice I'm putting it in metric, and it's for some odd reason the way. But look at all those step downs. That is a complete toolpath. And again, back in my other video, Told you if you want to simulate that and see how it runs, you can use these commands here to add it to your job and then give it the tool controller properties so you can display your tool in your simulator. But those are step down paths, and you can do that for one path at a time, and then you can combine all those paths. Really flexible tooling. You really have to think about what you want to do and get there. Again, like I said, we could have taken this original sketch. Let's just hide this. Take that original sketch and went into the PartWorkbench, went and said ShapeBuilder from an edge, and let's just say we did this. This edge, this edge, this edge, and this edge, and we create. Close this out. Should have just that wire. And we can just use that for a toolpath. Again, you know, going into path. And like I said, I don't use this from shape. You can. Bam, it created a path. Sure enough, it no, it did not create the path I wanted. It just locked up some software. Wow. Did it? Sorry about that, guys. Didn't mean to confuse you. Let's redo this here. I don't, again, like I was saying, I don't use the from shape to create my path. You know, that's a valid toolpath. It is. Don't get me wrong. That's a valid toolpath for that. So there's our first toolpath, you know. Then we can do the same thing for this one. Just generate a wire. Then we'll have a second toolpath from shape. Do the third and then the fourth. Nothing wrong with doing that. The reason I don't do that is because when I go to edit this in my NC editor, and I go back to the editor, it's still there. But now, if I take that same wire and I use my wire to path macro, we'll change this sketch 001 because that's what we used before. Now we're going to say it's wire 002 and hit play. And notice we have from shapes command here. Ooh, it did not create a path. What went on? Oh, it's this vertex setting. See, I told you I always forget about it. I want to start at vertex. It'd help if I could see the bottom there. I'm going to do vertex 1. So I'll set that to 0. 0. Now hit play. I like that. Like that a lot. See, human error. Don't ever think it's the machine. It only does what you want it to do. Same toolpath I just created from shape. The only difference is when I go to edit this one that I created with my macro, same command, from shape. Click OK, right click, let's go to inspect code. See my G90, it's gone. Um, so that's why I like to use this. It's using the same thing, path from shape. I have to tell it two pieces of information. What I'm wanting to work with, I showed you the sketch. Now we just did it with a wire. And then pick where your start point is. Figure out what vertex it is. It's pretty simple to do. You go over here. Figure out what vertex you want to start at. In this case, you look down to the left, it says vertex 20. Down here, vertex 21. So there's a lot of ways to really make some really clean, neat paths. It's fast, efficient. When you get used to doing this stuff, you do it really fast. When you're first starting out, tools, process, you work with it and you start thinking like it, and it just becomes streamless. Hope this helps some people out there. Hope you learned some techniques. Hope I didn't confuse anybody. But with the feature area, like I said, you can create a sketch from that feature area. You could have created a 2D wire, do all kind of things. A plane, just it's FreeCAD only does what you tell it to do, and learn how to tell it to do what you want to do. Figure out how you want to do what you want to do, and let the software developers do what they do. Thanks.